Here it is. Listen up and grab a pen. I'm going to tell you exactly how to find the very best home inspector in your area. It's one of the most requested comments that I get. I get comments by the hundreds every week, and everybody asks, how do I find a good home inspector? And some people even say, how do I find a good home inspector like you? So thank you for that. But here it is. I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it. Here's step number one, the most important thing. Don't shop on price. Every single day, I get people calling my office asking, first question out of their mouth, how much do you charge for a home inspection? You guys have heard me say this before, but it is the least important question you can possibly ask a home inspector. All right, now before you say, oh yeah, that's just because he charges a lot. I have never in my life seen a good home inspector that was cheap. And I have never seen a terrible home inspector that was expensive. So take that for what it's worth. You can almost just use the price point as your pre-qualifier. Find one of the most expensive home inspectors in your area, because the only way you can get away with being the most expensive guy is by being the best. Listen to me on this one, seriously. A cheap home inspector is going to be the most expensive thing you have ever purchased in your life. That's how you buy a money pit. A great home inspector is going to give you a report that will allow you to negotiate and save thousands of dollars. Trust me. Now, this is controversial in the inspection community, but this is one of the things that I teach in my webinar series, and this is one of the things I genuinely believe in. Step two, ask your home inspector when you call him, can I attend the inspection and can I be a meaningful part of it? This is super important. The reason is because we are not just home inspectors, we're professional consultants, but not everybody gets that. And you are paying good money for that inspection, and you should have somebody that's willing to take you through the inspection, explain the findings, explain typical remediation, be somebody who's willing to answer hard questions. A lot of home inspectors don't want you to attend because, frankly, they want to be able to fly through the inspection faster, not have to answer questions. Some of them might even be afraid that you might ask them hard ones. So ask that criteria number two, ask if you can attend the inspection and be a meaningful part of it. And if they say no, I prefer that you come at the end. I'll give you a brief summary, move on. The reason I say that is because a brief summary at the end of an inspection is pretty much the same thing as asking you to take a sip off a fire hydrant. Step number three, ask the inspector on the phone if they've passed the NHIE. The NHIE stands for the National Home Inspector Exam. It is a very, very difficult test to pass. It has a 60% fail rate, and most inspectors have to take it 2 or 3 times to pass it. It is a very difficult test that covers homes across the entire United States. Everything from solar systems to electric car plug-ins, you name it. You can't get away with just being a regional person that knows the homes in your area. To pass that test, you have to really know the systems and components in a home on a very broad scale. So that's a good question to ask, NHIE. If they just say I'm state licensed or I don't have any license, find another inspector. All right, step four, ask the inspector on the phone if they use thermal imaging. Sometimes they call it FLIR. Some guys, call it infrared, but make sure they're going to use thermal imaging on the inspection, because it is one of the only tools that we use that sees things that our eye can't. We can use it to do things like flush the toilet and scan around the base of the toilet to see if water's leaking into the subfloor. We can use it to check water temperature. We can check shower pans that are leaking. So it's one of the most valuable tools that I have on an inspection, and I don't recommend using an inspector that doesn't use thermal imaging. Okay, step five. Here's a question to ask. Make sure that your inspector is going to do a roof level inspection. That means they are either going to walk the roof, they're going to use a drone, they're going to use a Docopol camera system, they're going to do something at the roof level. There are a lot of inspectors that'll just take binoculars and look from the sidewalk, give everything a thumbs up, and move on with their day. Find another inspector. Make sure that they're going to do a roof level inspection. I always start with a drone, and if I see anything concerning that I feel like I have to crawl up there for, then I will get the ladder out and I'll crawl up on the roof. 100% of my inspections get a roof level inspection, and you deserve that. The roof is way too important to glance at with binoculars. Done. Make sure that your inspector is an Interac member. Interac is the International Association of Certified Home Inspectors. It is a fantastic organization. They have the best continuing education programs. They are very involved in our community, and they do a lot to elevate our industry. And they also hold us to a very high standard with the InterNACHI standards of practice and the code of ethics. So find an InterNACHI member. You can also go to nachi.org, and you can do a search in your area for inspectors to find InterNACHI members. All right, last but not least, ask your inspector on the phone if they have a crawler robot, which is also sometimes called a crawlbot. These are RC-controlled robots that have lights and cameras on them, and we can get those into tight spaces, small areas, things that we can't fit into. Here's a dirty little secret about the home inspection industry. We can put 3 words in a report, not readily accessible, and then we're not legally responsible for anything that we could, that we didn't see. We're only required to inspect things that are readily accessible. And so I personally have 3 crawler robots. I have one really low one, and I have 2 that are more like rock crawlers that can get over big obstacles and stuff. And on top of that, I have 3 crawler robots. I also have a 30-foot Doka pole camera system. You see this right here? A GoPro fits into that. And that pole right there extends to 30 feet long, and I have a little trolley for it. I can shove that into tiny little spaces. So I don't just pass up spaces I can't fit into and give those 3 dreaded words, not readily accessible, unless I have exhausted all humanly possible efforts. So that's a good one to ask, is the crawler robot or the crawlbot. I almost forgot this one too. This is really important. Google reviews. We don't control Google reviews. They are legitimate. So make sure that you look up the home inspector's Google reviews and make sure that they have really good reviews, stellar, and make sure that they are recent, not 2 or 3 last year, not 6 months ago, but we're talking 2 or 3 within the last 30 days. People don't typically leave Google reviews unless you've gone above and beyond and done a really terrific job. So read through their Google reviews and look for common threads of people saying he was thorough, people saying, they went above and beyond, whatever, but find somebody with excellent Google reviews. Hopefully you wrote all those down. Hopefully you follow this advice, because that is exactly how you find the best home inspector in your area. If I go through my comments, I can tell you the most common comment that I get is people saying, I wish you were my inspector, or if I wish I had an inspector as thorough as you. My inspector missed a bunch of crap. I hear that. Every single day in the comments, I see that. And this list right here is how you avoid that. Find a good home inspector, be willing to pay for a good one, and show up and be a meaningful part of it. And you'll be well on your way to a high quality inspection. So I hate to ask, but if you could give this video a like and maybe a share, I would really appreciate it.